I'm Tim Hooper.
And I'm Mike Gandolfo.
And this is The Trust Factor,
where high touch
plus high tech
multiplied by high trust
equals the real estate professional's formula for success. Yes, and we are back live, guys. Welcome back to the show. He's Mike, I'm Tim, and we are breaking down tech and building your tech stack. This is part 2. Hopefully last week you caught part 1. If you didn't, you can listen to this one and then go back, or you can stop this one, go back first and grab that one. But Mike, it was a good conversation last week, really just hopefully giving everybody more structure around what tools to go choose, and kind of thinking bigger about what role that tool fills for you on your team, so that you're not chasing every shiny object. Because we all know in real estate right now, we're prime. Listen, if you're listening, you're in title, mortgage, or real estate, you are a prime target. You know what you're a prime target for? Well, number one, real estate agents, you don't necessarily have a CTO on your team, so that's why you're a prime target. Because like in corporations, most employees like tune out AI, and they're using it at home, but they tune out AI for their role because their CTO is going to roll it out when they roll it out. So they already have a natural built-in filter. But as a real estate agent, you don't have a built-in filter called a CTO. So you're a prime target for Silicon Valley, all of the entrepreneurs who are like, or all the capitalists who are like, we're going to build something that it will absolutely make every real estate agent sign up for it, because we're going to promise them something. And really, guys, you could have built it yourself very quickly in a tool of AI. So that's where Mike, then the systems architect that he is going to help break all this down. So Mike, like, what are we digging into today? And
well, real quick, I do think, last episode we talked about two of the 3 roles that we said that you probably need to hire for the daily office assistant, which is, again, I'm using Google Workspace. I'm not saying that you should use Google Workspace, but I'm just telling you that that's the product. And actually with that one, we kind of like, it just kind of happened because we were using Google and then all these tools started coming in. For the research and strategist, I'm using Perplexity. And then we got into, how Comet could actually probably help with some workflows. I was doing a little research in between our episodes, and you're exactly right. Like the Comet can be huge for us. It's going to be one of the changes, one of the things I learned from last episode. But if we're using a daily office, and today I think we're going to get into the builder, the systems and the tools. We're talking about Manus a whole lot more. And the reason why we did that is because I kind of hinted that there's the 4th one if you're a little bit more advanced, and Manus is also the solution for that one. So we'll get into that a little bit. But if we're using an AI product to help us be our daily office assistant for emails and docs, Tim, you're huge in believing that you shouldn't hide the fact that you're using AI. You actually need to disclose it. So talk about that real quick.
Yeah. And we'll dig in a little deeper on disclosures, because with disclosure comes a sales conversation that's powerful. But I believe that with our government, I mean, did you guys just see the Pentagon's deal with OpenAI? Right? So our government's disclosing that they're using AI. Our healthcare, like my wife and I go up to UVA for her appointments, 4 years in remission. But you know what? It's standard for us. We're going to go up there, and they are disclosing that we're using AI in this conversation. We're using AI so you can get my chart back faster, so that other doctors can analyze these conversations for better service, blah, blah, blah. And we're hitting okay. She's tapping okay. Like, shit, that's great. My kids, 3 high schoolers, are bringing home AI usage policies for the honor code that has to be signed by them and their parent, by the way. So everything in our system, and by the way, one of my wife's friends was over, and she's going on and on about Notebook LM because the schools are training all of the teachers right now on Notebook LM. So where I'm going with this is, if you're in real estate, what's that? Yeah,
it's a great school.
It's a great school. So if you're not at some level, number one, for trust, first and foremost for trust, disclosing that you're using AI or that you use AI, just a general disclosure of our team uses AI so that we can serve you better, so that we can market more effectively, so that we can communicate more promptly, so that we can analyze and have less errors, and so that we can, and that's all so that you can, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, right? Disclose it so that you can, so that we can is the statement. And we keep a human in the loop approach. Privacy and confidentiality are important to us, and fair housing rules and language and blah, 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 blah. Spell that out. I would put that disclosure somewhere. I believe NAR's behind on it, and it needs to go on the buyer agent agreement for an initial. Because if you use it for an addendum, like what the seller needs to fix up, like you do your walkthrough and then you had AI take that transcript and then create your like fix up thing, while we talk about how to build that all out, I would just disclose to the client that you use it so that you can be more effective for them. There's a sales conversation, obviously, for different moments of that. We'll go into that deeper, but I think disclosing it more from a security standpoint and a prudence standpoint for your business is important. Again, high trust. Somebody told me the other day, Mike, well, I'm in a one-party state, so I don't have to tell them I'm recording the conversation on my on fraud device. And I'm like, if you're a private detective, great, that law is for you. But you're a real estate agent. You are in supposed to be one of the highest trusted vocations, where you're helping people get their kids moved into a safe neighborhood, their pets in a nice yard, like they're trusting with their life. So disclose it and then show it more humanly than ever before. And you won't have a problem with it. But anyway, yeah, disclose it.
Yeah. And I don't want to throw you through the bus, but I know that if people want to see your disclosure, they can reach out to you on LinkedIn. Do you still do that?
Absolutely. You could just message over on LinkedIn. And the reason I say LinkedIn, man, it's just easier. I go on every morning, quick time block. And then when I see a message, it's a quick record a voice memo, say hello to you, because I believe in rehumanizing connection, and say hello to you. And then here's my copy paste disclosure. But I would just say one thing there: run it by your legal. If you're on if you work for a brokerage, run it by your legal team. Make sure it passes the mustard, and then go.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so let's hop into what we were going to talk about today. I think we wanted to talk a little bit more about, like, did we want to define a little bit more of the what shiny object syndrome is?
Yeah, I think we need to.
I mean, I think we kind of talked about a lot, but we kind of went around and brushed by it.
You're coaching a bunch of agents, and I don't want to, your agents are great. I'm not going to say throw any of your agents under the bus, but just generally, what are you seeing with real estate agents when it comes to shiny object syndrome?
Well, I mean,
or human nature in general.
It's always been this way in real estate, right? Like, I'll go back and I used to hold up a pen and a cell phone and be like, if you got these two tools, you can be a great realtor. And I still believe that. Okay. I still believe that's true. And then every single piece of technology you add on should have a role and should help you be more efficient. And you should do one at a time and learn it and whatever else, and not try to, but realtors, because I do think that there is some self-esteem issues that tend to happen in the industry, are looking around and like, well, that person's using this and this person's using that, and they got this website, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I got to have this, I got to have that. And they don't even have any idea how to use the tool. And it's happened with, oh, I got to get an iPad. Oh, I need the talking sign back in the 90s that someone could, call or turn their radio station to a certain channel. It doesn't matter at what era of real estate you're in. There's always this, I got to have this tool, I got to have that tool, I got to blah, 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 blah. Right. And it's like, no, you got to use the tools and know exactly why you're choosing certain tools. And then I even teach it on the lead generation side. And so, we talk about when a new agent starts out, they have no system for lead generation. So what do? They try out a whole lot of things. And when they do that, when you don't start out with a system for lead generation and you say, I'm gonna try a little door knocking, then I'm gonna try some open houses and blah, blah, blah. And you don't ever actually like put a system behind something and let it actually work long enough to see if it does work. all you're doing is trying things out and hoping that you catch a lead, but you've got nothing behind that that's going to help you speed up the lead generation in the future. We call it the bumblebee effect. Like you're just going from flower to flower to flower versus just like saying, all right, like, no, like I'm committed to this and we're going to try this out. Not try it out. We're committed to this. And this is the way we're doing it. And living in one space, there's always, I guess, a fear of missing out that occurs in that world. So the new AI tool comes around, the shiny object syndrome. I have no idea how to use it, but I gotta have it because it's helping so and so's business be better. So it must help my business become better.
We're gonna call this the salamander effect.
The salamander effect. Okay.
Yeah. Here's why. So you said bumblebee, right? How many bumblebees have you seen? Thousands, right? Bumblebees going flower to flower. So we bought the little house next door. I decided to go chip gains on it, and I did all the demo. And
we've heard this story before.
Got my back up, right, and all that. But I didn't tell you about this. So I encapsulated the entire crawl space. So I'm underneath the crawl space, and it went from like slab to crawl space because it was on a hill. So it went from slab to crawl space. So I'm like up in the tight areas of the crawl space, like where it's very hard to, and I'm scooting plastic and I'm up underneath there with my headlamp and everything else. And I go to roll over underneath cross members and I look, and dude, I about freaked out. And you know what, myself staring me in the face I thought was a snake. Okay. But staring me in the face with these two big beady eyes and this black body with these yellow, and that's what really freaked me out was these yellow dots. And he wasn't, but I don't know, 8 inches. But right there in my face, it looked like this massive thing. Anyway, I rolled back over, and I got out of there real fast. And I'm like, what was that? Like, wow, I've never seen that before. So I go Google snake, black, yellow dots, whatever. Oh, Tim, what you've got is a mole salamander. Like they live often frequently in crawl spaces and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wow. Is it harmful? Not harmful at all. I'm like, wow. So I went back down there with a shovel because I didn't want to encapsulate him in there. He would have been just fine, by the way, come to find out. But I scoop him up and I take him to my son who loves all things amphibians. My son kept him in his room for, 8 months. And then finally he's like, Daddy, I'm kind of done with like taking care of Sammy. We called him Sammy. He said, so I said, you know what, buddy? And Sammy was starting to get a little like shriveled up. And I was like, buddy, why don't we just release him back into the environment? I thought Sammy was going to go die. So we go release him back into the environment. We take him outside. We say, he's going to mold, he's going to burrow down, whatever. Well, we're down in our crawl space. We don't have crawl space. We have a basement, finished basement, but it has some old plumbing. It's an old house, but it has some old plumbing for like the drainage system. And I go down there one night to the refrigerator, grab some stuff. And if I look down in the little drain and there's Sammy. He's in my crawl space or in my basement. He crawled down, he burrowed down, went into the old cast iron pipes or whatever, came up through, and there's Sammy. And Sammy has lived in our basement. Like you go down there at night and he comes out, so he catches bugs and he goes back in the dirt. And Sammy has just become like a member of the family. So I'm telling you, this is the salamander effect. You need to burrow into, he's only done 2 homes. Okay. So he did my mother-in-law's home next door. He's done our home. You need to burrow down into a couple of homes that are going to feed you well, that you're going to learn, that you're going to become part of that family and that ecosystem. So we'll just call, I was not planning to share that story, by the way, but that's when you said bumblebee, I'm like, the only stable animal beside my dog that I have is Sammy. Like all the chickens have come and gone. The goats have come and gone, but my dog and Sammy, those are our 2.
But we do have the agents also that probably go the other way. They get so caught up in the old way of doing things that they don't look for ways to be more efficient and more efficient too. And I think in real estate, you basically that's the spectrum, right? Like you got the shiny objects. I got to have all the new tools, whatever else. And you got the person's like, hey, this is the way I've always done it. It's always worked for me. I don't need it. And quite honestly, that person's right. You don't need to change. However, there are some things that you could probably do to be more efficient and more effective.
Correct.
And if nothing else, communicate to your client that you're somewhat innovative. And I don't know how important that is. So, I mean, if you're good, you're good, right? Like it is,
Yeah, I think if you're good, you're good. It's also funny, man. We teach all this stuff, and then I look at the professionals who enter my life and like wow me or like wow my wife. Like for instance, I work as a real estate agent, and I just got done telling this to like the last week's worth of trainings I've been doing. I'm like, my real estate agent, love him to death. I've not heard from him for a year and a half.
That's a
Now, I
problem.
did get a magnet, and I've told you about the magnet. It's a great magnet. I look at it all the time because it has the meat temperatures on it. So he was very innovative with that, and I love him to death. But somebody got between him and me faster in a real estate search. Somebody got in between him and me. I probably would have called him, "Hey, interested in showing me this place," but somebody got in between him and me and bonded with my wife, who's really the decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
So that bond with my wife, if I look at it, Mike, if I'm really honest with you and our audience, there wasn't like a social media page that we went and looked at. There wasn't um there wasn't a lot of AI or technology. There was a human vocal connection that our real estate agent that we just worked with, we're not using her. We are working with her. By the way, she started with Carl, your buddy.
Yeah.
But we're working with her because she got in between with a phone call, with a vocal that won my wife over.
Mm-hmm. But
So all that
human,
now, will I recommend her? And with a social media presence, and I'm sure she has one. I've not even looked her up to this day. I've not even looked her up. I think right away she connected on Facebook with my wife because my wife said, "Oh, so and so just reached out, and by the way, we're going to coffee." And blah. I'm like,
she gets
she's
it. She
good.
gets it.
So,
Right.
so I know she's on social media. I'm not connected with her, and she's connected with my wife, which is great. But anyway, so to your point, pen and phone, like don't forget that that's what you should be going for. So if it's taking you away from that, that's where AI needs to enter in for you
Mm.
first and foremost.
So that you
Not
can continue to do more of the things where it's pressed in the flesh.
yes,
And yes.
yes. I'm seeing a
Right.
lot of people. Oh, I need a lead generation thing from AI.
No.
No, you don't. You need a database from all your past clients and customers and Sphere put together.
That needs to be a whole nother episode too.
Database,
No, just like
network,
the
Sphere.
the like the definition of lead and lead generation, because it is so I'm gonna say bastardized of how it's used. I mean, a Zillow lead and the lead I get from a referral are, the Zillow lead's really an inquiry. So when agents are saying lead generation, they're really saying inquiry generation, right?
That's great.
And
That's a
I'm getting leads, you're getting inquiries
That's great. We're gonna break down
on another episode.
inquiry versus lead on another episode. All right, but let's
Yeah.
get back real quick to Bill. So we've talked about disclosure. We've talked about how AI actually puts you in a realm of, okay, you're going to be successful for me. You are going to be like, it's like back in the old 2006 is when I bought my first home. And then we went to sell it a couple years later because we were having kids and upgrading. And my real estate agent said, "We're going to put you on Trulia." And right, just in my brain back then, that he was it. You had me at Trulia. So, so AI and leveraging certain systems for your business that tee you up, make you successful, that put you in the best light, best foot forward. That's where the effect is. So let's talk about Builder for a little bit. Let's unpack Builder just a little bit more.
Yeah,
What are
well,
some
I
of the
think
things we should be building out?
the way that you describe using Manus, so I kind of hinted that Manus has got two different roles, right? The mysterious fourth role that we haven't talked about yet. But the builder that you're talking about is the way that it could be Manus could be a solution for a lot of people. If I'm trying to build out presentations, if I'm trying to build out um, uh, like pamphlets, or maybe even uh, policies and procedures, right?
Yeah.
That is what is really great for something like Manus. That is exactly what the builder tries to do. It's the systems and the tools that you can do, but it could be as simple as, you talk about replacing Canva. I was showing you while we were on break about a workflow for how it can handle referrals and communication and whatever else. And that's really when I get into that fourth person that I'm hiring, that fourth person is the developer.
Mm.
the person who's actually writing code. And then when you start talking about code, you probably get people who probably like, oh, that's where it's too much for me, right? But it is easier now than ever because you don't have to know how to write code. You just have to
Yep.
be able to prompt it and tell it what you want it to do. And it'll instinctively ask you, it's like, oh, okay, we built this out. Like, what about adding this feature? What about adding this feature? Then all of a sudden you've used 60,000 Vantage credits, right? What about using this feature? And so like you're building out
that
this.
one hurt. That one hurt.
That was an inside joke between me and Tim. Yeah, at the end
That
of the
was
day,
not an inside joke. Andrew, if he's listening, just got it. He just
Uh-huh.
got it. He's gonna text me, you idiot.
but
All right,
you're
if you're
you're
using-
basically looking for that. So like when I think of the builder things, it's when you can actually start bringing things to life, right? And you can start bringing things
Right.
where you're having some sort of usability. And an interesting one for me is actually Notebook LM, because I think, you mentioned it earlier, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because Notebook LM kind of bridges the gap between the research tool, and you feed it all the research and whatever else, and it'll help you synthesize the research. But man, they're creating some really freaking good builder tools on the back end of Notebook LM.
Yep.
There's, if you're not familiar, there's podcasts right now that are completely generated with Notebook LM.
Right.
I just heard one on the Epstein files. I'm not into the whole Epstein files thing, but like I heard a clip from it. I was like, oh, those are the two people from Notebook LM.
That's the two. That's the two people from Notebook LM.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but if you're listening to that conversation in Notebook LM, the two people like taking your sources and having a conversation, you can actually be part of the conversation too. You can interrupt
dial
them,
in.
ask them a question,
Yep.
and they'll answer the question in real time. Like, it's crazy. But the slide decks that Notebook LM's building, the infographics, like I turned every like general process is like working with a buyer, working with a seller, all that stuff we turned into infographics using Notebook LM. It's really just crazy, like some of the things that you can kind of do, and then you give them out to your agents, and then they have a quick and easy just reference guide, especially when they're new,
So
like where they're at.
So Mike, for my house, as I'm going to buy, I thought, okay, do I sell or do I rent? I think I told you this. Did I tell you this?
We talked about that conversation. I don't know what you're.
So Chat GPT, go to more, and it's agentic, or it's agent mode. So in agent mode, I'm like, all right, I'm a seller. Here's my address. I want you to look at realtor.com, look at Zillow, look at I gave it all these websites, and I said, write me up a CMA, understand I'm rural, pull me comps all the way out to Farmville, like blah, 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 blah. So the CMA came out absolutely flawless. And it did. And by the way, agent mode, it shows you, like, it pulls up all the websites that it's going to, right? Hey, that's agent mode. It puts them all in there. There's the CMA. So that took me all of like 30 seconds to prompt. And then it took maybe 3 minutes to build the CMA because it's doing all that research in agent mode. Then I grabbed it, copy paste into Notebook LM, and literally created a slide deck. And I've been showing agents this slide deck. It's incredible. But the slide deck for my address in front of CMA, the slide deck is powerful. Like the comps, here's where you could list it for. Here's probably where you should list it for. Here's days on market. It's kind of cool to where you're at because you're so rural, blah, blah, blah. It was within 5 minutes, you had a slide deck as opposed to just a Word doc CMA.
So let's take that a step further. And then let's pretend that, like, again, if you're a real estate agent and you're listening to this and like, oh, great. Like now, the CMA thing will be taken from us and you're worried about taking your job. It's like, no, you just got to be better at using the tool to have a better prompting process and a better perspective and more understand more market nuance, right? So, but let's just say, like, we're big on telling our agents that they need to have their top 100 people that they're staying in touch with. All right. If I did 2 a week, if I took that 100 people and I did 2 a week and I gave them a quick little, hey, here's a market update of what's going on in your neighborhood. And you basically prompted it something that easily, you threw it in a Notebook LM or in a Manus and created this slide deck. and you then use another tool that I love. Tim loves BombBomb. I love Loom, Loom, whichever one you can. So you can have the slide deck on the screen. You have your little picture in the corner, and you're going through and you're just saying, hey, Tim, just want to share with you and Jen what's been going on in your neighborhood over the last year, and give you a quick update of just kind of if your neighborhood's appreciating or not. By the way, this is not an exact CMA. If you really want to know what your real estate, by the way, this is a key word. If you really want to know the value of your real estate portfolio, give me a call and we'll do an in-depth analysis of your real estate portfolio. Now, the reason why I say real estate portfolio is because Tim's automatically thinking it's like, oh, I got one house. Actually, Tim's got at least two houses. You might have more, but Tim's like, oh, I only got one house in my real estate portfolio. Maybe my this investment's doing pretty good. Maybe I need to have more investment portfolio. Like, you start getting them to like use certain words to get them to think bigger, right?
Yep.
And that will allow them to then ask more questions, and then you are able to give some really good trusted advisor advice.
Yep.
Based off that. Yeah. I love it.
It's powerful.
Two a week. Do 2 of those a week and see what happens.
2 a week. Put it into like a flow. And that's the thing, right? That's where you're digging. That's where you're becoming Sammy. That's the salamander effect. Build a tool that has an output that's useful to your customer to open up more conversations for you and them, and then stay there. Build the tool. Is it, and evaluate it. And you can evaluate more rapidly now than ever before. Is it useful? Did they say wow? If they say wow, then why would you stop? Burrow in, be Sammy, leverage that technology, that AI for that tool. That's useful.
Because they might be using AI tool too. Don't get me wrong, but they're not using it the way you're using it.
Correct.
So the wow factor is still there.
The wow, yes. And then so let's tease out the one we haven't really shared, because we dug into Builder and a couple of things to build, like CMAs and other things. What's the fourth secret?
It's the developer. It's the one who's doing the coding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. So that coding person who's really taking these tools, and I've used Manus and I've built out some crazy things. Like I'm doing things with Manus that, quite honestly, if you would have asked me 6 months ago if I had the capability of doing something, I was like, oh, I could probably do something that is, kind of jankety. But now I'm like putting together some things like that are, I was telling Tim, like, if we come up with this agent assessment that's helping me attract agents, and the value add to the agent on the other side is they do this quick little assessment, very similar to equity, and they're going to get for them, they're going to understand their lead generation style, their negotiation style, how they operate under stress. They're going to get all these kind of styles.
Yep.
Right. And by the way, because we're getting information about how they like to receive and process information, the report that they're getting is presented in a way that they receive and process information.
Right.
It's not a one size fits all report.
Right. Yep.
I'm getting a report back that is how I receive and process information, and it's giving me a recommendation on whether or not this person would be a good fit for our company culturally.
Yep.
And it's giving me 3 reasons why they think it's a good fit, and 1 reason why I would where I would need to watch and what I would need to manage, where the one pothole is.
That's beautiful. So look at that.
That's incredible, right?
Right. And so I think here would be the challenge, I think, on the developer piece. Are you in a mastermind with a developer? Are you working with a broker who either has a developer or is a developer? Does that make sense? A lot, 80% of I believe real estate agents out there, they don't want to be a developer. They don't have the mindset for. No. I would just say, make sure in your mastermind you have a developer, because they're going to be the ones who bring you the tools, the solutions, the ahas, the, hey, this is really working for me. That's why I recommend people like, hey, you got to know Mike. Like, Mike has that system architect mind of what's important to the customer, the client, my clients, what's important in their lives. And then what's important to my agents as I coach them. And let's build something that removes roadblocks. That's the developer. So have that person in your proximity if you're not that person. You know what I mean? And then if you are a developer, make sure you have somebody in your mastermind who's the connector, because you can get lost in development sauce. I see this all the time. Develop, and
nothing
you're
gets
not,
implemented.
the business isn't right. Nothing gets implemented. So, yep.
The one that I think is probably the most, Manus is great for this, but the one platform that's really good for the developer is also Lovable. So and really, like, so it used to be unthinkable of us building a website or building an app, and now you can. If you can tell it what you want to do. I'm working on I'm going to say 2 examples here. I'm working with a nonprofit, and I'm on the board, and they're like having some major issues trying to figure out how to get the right board portal for the board. And I went to the guy who's the CEO, and I said, hey, we can build this. He's like, I don't know how to build this. It's like, trust me, you give me exactly what you want, and we can build this. And it's not even like, I'm not even worried about it. It might take me a day to build something that they would have spent, a couple $1,000s on a year to have. And so I say that because we have a buddy, you and I both, who's my buddy, who's become your buddy, who lives in Virginia Beach. He has an unbelievable staff member who actually, even though he works for this brokerage in Virginia Beach, actually lives across the river from where I am. And that's what his main thing is doing right now. He is using Lovable to look at every 5, because the brokerage that this guy owns is really pretty large. And so every 4 and 5 figure tool that they're paying for, they're now making their own proprietary piece to offer to their agents, and they're doing it using Lovable.
There you go.
And they're saving thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. So
there you go. What does your sphere need? If you're a broker, what do your agents need? If you're an agent, what is your sphere? Your clientele, what do they need? And then the developer hat comes in. Let me develop something that removes breakdowns and bottlenecks. Do that. Don't get sucked away with shiny object syndrome. Oh, it can create this, it can create that, it can create that. Go create useful things. All right. So that's where I would leave you with. Listen, we talked about the assistant, the email, the documents. We talked about the builder. We talked about the researcher, and the Loom idea, by the way, Mike, with putting stuff, the research in the market, in the real estate portfolio. That was killer. That was gold. That's take to the bank. And then the developer and how to keep yourself balanced in that. So guys, here's the deal. Go be Sammy. Go be the salamander. Burrow in. Build out what works for you. And really all you need is a phone and a pen. So let's go make some business happen.
So then here's if you're trying to make sure that you're avoiding shiny object syndrome, before you add another AI product, I want you to ask these 3 questions. What job in my business will this tool own? Like, what job am I trying to hire for? Which tool that I already pay for would it replace? And can I name one weekly workflow where I would use it? And it's real simple. You ask those 3 questions, and you're just say, hey, if there's no clear job, there's no subscription. That when you decide if you're going to subscribe to something, there needs to be a clear job or a clear workflow that you're trying to hire for.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, guys. Well, all right. We'll see you next time.
It's powerful.
Thanks for listening. The Trust Factor podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. You can even watch us on YouTube.
And subscribe to the channel so you can comment and drop your questions and share it with your team.